The government says it has no plans to pass a law to formally remove Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor from the line of succession. Andrew remains eighth in line to the throne, and it would take an act of parliament to formally remove him. Passing the law to change that would be complex, writes our political reporter. Buckingham Palace announced on Thursday that Andrew would lose all his royal titles and leave his 30-room mansion in Windsor, but he won't leave Royal Lodge immediately, sources say. The dramatic statement on Thursday night came after months of pressure over Andrew's private life. In a posthumous memoir published this month, Virginia Giuffre repeated allegations that, as a teenager, she had sex with Andrew on 3 separate occasions. Andrew has always denied the claims. Giuffre's brother, Sky Roberts, welcomes the King's move against Andrew, but tells BBC Newsnight, "It's not enough. We have to have some sort of investigation that goes further into this. This is a tipping point," says Sigrid Macaulay, a lawyer who represented Virginia Giuffre during her civil sexual assault case against Andrew. Her bravery, determination and resilient spirit has led to the defining moment. This moment should be a lesson for all to listen, hear and believe survivors of abuse, she says. Virginia Giuffre, who took her own life earlier this year, alleged she had sex with Andrew 3 times as a teenager, which Andrew has repeatedly denied. In 2003, Prince Andrew signed a lease on the Royal Lodge, a 30-room, Grade 2 listed mansion in Windsor Great Park, close to Windsor Castle. He will now be leaving the Royal Lodge and moving to a private property in the Sandringham estate. The Royal Lodge has almost 100 acres of secluded grounds, including the Royal Chapel where Princess Beatrice's wedding took place. The landlord, the Crown Estate, operates as an independent company. Andrew made several upfront payments when he signed the 75-year lease, totaling about £8 million. That means he's been paying a peppercorn rent ever since. That's a small, symbolic sum, which in this case seems to be nothing at all. His lease with the Crown Estate had meant he would be able to stay there until 2078, beyond his expected lifetime. In light Buckingham Palace's announcement, this is no longer the case. The contract also states that his 2 daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, are able to take over the residency. It is not yet known if this still stands. Royal historian Sarah Gristwood tells the BBC this is the moment the royal family hoped would never come. Speaking to Rebecca Kesby on BBC World Service's NewsHour program, she says, "The fact they have moved so decisively shows just how seriously they take the story and the damage it could do to the monarchy as a whole. It's only now that it's become apparent that Andrew has to be a pariah, that he can never have a place in royal circles again," Gristwood says. Prince Andrew being stripped of his Prince title caps off weeks of intense scrutiny. His links to Jeffrey Epstein have come under the spotlight and pressure has been mounting on the royal family. Today, Buckingham Palace announced he will also be leaving his Windsor home, Royal Lodge. If you're just joining us, here is the latest. After losing his title, Prince Andrew will be known as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, Buckingham Palace says. He will be moved into private accommodation in Sandringham Estate, as soon as is practicable, which will be funded by the King. The palace has expressed their support for victims of any and all forms of abuse. The family of Virginia Giuffre, who alleged she had sex with Andrew 3 times as a teenager, say she brought down a British prince with her truth and extraordinary courage. Andrew continues to deny the accusations against him. Giuffre took her own life earlier this year. Andrew's 2 adult daughters, Eugenie and Beatrice, will retain their titles as princesses, but Andrew's ex-wife Sarah Ferguson will have to make her own living arrangements. Andrew remains 8th in line to the throne. In our previous post, we brought you some initial comments from Kemi Badenoch. We've now taken a look at reaction from across the political spectrum to the news that Prince Andrew is being stripped of his Prince title. Leader of the opposition Kemi Badenoch tells LBC that stripping Andrew of the Prince title must have been a very difficult thing for the king to do, adding that the whole Jeffrey Epstein saga has just shown that the public has no truck whatsoever with any kind of sexual abuse, which is quite right. Ed Davey, leader of the Liberal Democrats, says, "The king is absolutely right to strip Prince Andrew of both his titles and his residence at the Royal Lodge. This is an important step towards rebuilding trust in our institutions." SNP leader in Westminster Stephen Flynn calls it the right decision and an important moment for the victims of Epstein. As a reminder, it is understood that the government was consulted and it made clear it supports the decision. For the royal family, this continues to be both a personal and a public crisis. Andrew is, of course, King Charles's younger brother. And no matter how damaging this scandal had become, it cannot have been in any way easy for the king to take such a drastic step, stripping his own brother of his prince title, which he has had since birth. The leader of the opposition Kemi Badenoch reflected on that, when she was speaking to LBC this evening. She said it must have been very difficult for the king to strip his brother of his titles and royal lodge residence, but added that he clearly felt this was the right decision for the royal family. Despite their family links, events have shaped their relationship, and the pressure clearly got to such a point that the king felt he had to act. We can now bring you a statement from Virginia Giuffre's family. Giuffre, who took her own life earlier this year, alleged she had sex with Andrew 3 times as a teenager, something Andrew has repeatedly denied. Today, an ordinary American girl from an ordinary American family brought down a British prince with her truth and extraordinary courage, say her brother Sky Roberts and sister-in-law Amanda. Virginia Roberts Giuffre, our sister, a child when she was sexually assaulted by Andrew, never stopped fighting for accountability for what had happened to her and to countless other survivors like her. Today, she declares victory. We, her family, along with her survivor sisters, continue Virginia's battle and will not rest until the same accountability applies to all of the abusers and abettors connected to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Andrew remains 8th in line for throne, published at 2:31. 2:31. Despite being stripped of his prince title today, Andrew is still 8th in line for the throne, according to Buckingham Palace. The order of succession to the king is as follows. 1. The Prince of Wales, William. 2. Prince George of Wales. 3. Princess Charlotte of Wales. 4. Prince Louis of Wales. 5. The Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry. 6. Prince Archie of Sussex. 7. Princess Lilibet of Sussex. 8. Andrew. That's the million-pound question. Andrew relinquishing his titles didn't seem to make much difference to the continued damaging headlines about him. If anything, the scrutiny has intensified in recent weeks. But this is the ultimate sanction. His prince title, gone. His Windsor mansion, also gone. The palace will hope fervently that this move is successful in drawing a line under the scandals. These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him, it said. What we don't know is if there will be any further disclosures about Andrew, or whether this will satisfy the public disquiet about him. Andrew's removal from the last vestiges of royal life is not only reshaping his future, it's sending ripples through his family too. When he gave up his Duke of York title a few weeks ago, his ex-wife also lost her Duchess title and is now simply known as Sarah Ferguson. But their daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, continued to have the title of princess. And even after today's developments, Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice will retain their titles, as they are the daughters of the son of a sovereign. That will have been a key consideration for Andrew in any negotiations, and is a small victory for him. But the palace will also want to be seen as doing the right thing by Beatrice, 37, and Eugenie, 35. They remain much-loved nieces of the king, royal author Katie Nicholl recently told me, notwithstanding the scandal surrounding their parents. It is understood that Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, will also move out of Royal Lodge and will make her own living arrangements. Ferguson, 66, is the mother of Andrew's 2 children, the princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. Although she and Andrew divorced in 1996, they maintain a close relationship and Ferguson remained at Royal Lodge with her ex-husband. Until this month, Ferguson kept the title Sarah, Duchess of York, but she reverted to her maiden name of Ferguson after Andrew voluntarily gave up the usage of the Duke of York title. It's been almost 6 years since Andrew's BBC Newsnight interview, which led to him stepping back from royal duties in 2019. So why has he lost his prince title now? January 2025. In his Newsnight interview, Andrew said he had severed all links with pedophile Jeffrey Epstein after they were pictured together in New York in December 2010. But in January 2025, emails emerged that appeared to show contact beyond this point. One sent in February 2011, believed to be from Prince Andrew to Epstein, said, "Keep in close touch and we'll play some more soon." October 2025. The February 2011 email to Epstein re-emerges, with the Mail on Sunday saying it was from Andrew and printing more details. "It would seem we are in this together and will have to rise above it," the prince reportedly wrote. October 2025. Andrew voluntarily gave up most of his titles. He remained a prince but would no longer use the Duke of York title. October 2025. Virginia Giuffre's posthumous memoir is published with further details of her allegations against Prince Andrew, including that they had sex on 3 separate occasions when she was a teenager. He denies all the claims. "This isn't over yet," says author of Andrew book published at 149. 149. "They're finally getting ahead of the story, but this isn't the end of it," says historian and author Andrew Lowney, who earlier this year published his entitled, The Rise and Fall of the House of York. He tells the BBC the palace is finally taking some decisive action, but it won't completely satisfy the public disquiet. As for how Andrew is feeling, the author says it's a huge humiliation for Andrew. He's been very depressed about it all, even though he's been defiant in public, Lowney says. After accusations that the palace had done too little too late, this is now a root and branch attempt to draw a line under the scandal surrounding the former Prince Andrew, now plain Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. All the titles are being formally removed and not simply not being used. That includes the status of prince. There is also an end to the row over Andrew living in Royal Lodge. He'll move to Sandringham, a property privately owned by the monarch, rather than by the Crown estate. This is even more dramatic fall from grace for Andrew, with royal sources saying the decision reflects how seriously his lapses of judgment are being taken. Andrew, who has consistently denied allegations against him, is said not have objected to the changes. It's hard to imagine that he had much choice. Andrew's move from Royal Lodge to take place as soon as practicable. Published at 136 Andrew has received formal notice to surrender the lease on his Windsor mansion, Royal Lodge. The move is set to take place as soon as it is practicable, it is understood. Andrew did not object to King's decision published at 135. 135 Andrew is understood not to have objected to the King's decision to remove his titles. The decision was made, and action taken, due to serious lapses in Andrew's judgment, it is understood. Andrew continues to deny the accusations against him. It is also understood that the government was consulted. It made clear it supports the decision. After a couple of weeks of intense scrutiny on Prince Andrew, it did feel as if an announcement like this was a case of when, not if. But it still can't be overstated how significant a move this is. For someone who enjoys the trappings of royal life, this will be a personal blow, and likely very humiliating for Andrew. He is losing his prince title and leaving his Windsor mansion, Royal Lodge, just weeks after giving up his other royal titles, including the Duke of York. The negotiations won't have been easy, but the palace will have been well aware of the mood music, and how all of this looks to the public. There has been an increased focus on Andrew's links to Jeffrey Epstein, and today it's clear that that pressure just got too much. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing. But the last words in today's statement are telling. The King and Queen are making it very clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been, and will remain with, the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse.